Yo, congrats Rev20, you are the winner of the Spider-Woman Peach Momoko variant. Check the description for the email to claim your prize.
Comic fam, another week, another list of the comic books that the collecting market is investing in. And I'm sitting here at the table virtually with my good friend Jem from GemMintCollectibles. How you doing?
What's going on? I'm doing great. What's going on to everybody out there? Yeah, this is the list that you guys are investing in. This is what the market is doing, and we're going to report on it.
That's right. We're talking about those gems, the height of the market. And let's welcome a comic from the trending list making its way to the hot list in as little as one day. That's right. We're talking Noelle Stevenson, Lumberjanes, issue number 1. This book was going for $20 average sales back in July. And big shout out to Key Collector. We got to make sure to give credit when credit's due, letting everybody know that there was movement in the market just a couple months ago. Well, after a HBO Max announcement, this book is coming to the screen. We're seeing it hit all new heights. I was reporting just days ago on the trending list after a 650% increase in copies sold in 7 days, a new record at a 9.8 hitting $200. Just days later on October 11th, we're seeing a brand new record at $300. And we also saw that design variant, clearly the variant of choice, showing all of the hit characters reaching a new high of $550. This is the first appearance of the entire crew: Joe, April, Molly, May, Ripley, Jen, and Rosie. In Comic Fam, I had to get out my trade paperback and reread it because this book is so damn good that I was excited to bring it to the mic. And I was so proud to see it hit this list because this independent run is worthy of not just reading, but collecting because it's so damn good.
Yeah, this is one of Boom Studios' original books and one of their most beloved runs.
This book is not just recommended for kids, it's recommended for young adults as well as adults, and it deserves its spot at number 10. I'm excited to see where this book goes.
Yeah, for sure. And now number 9 on the list, it's a book we talked about last week, Amazing Spider-Man 299, but this time we're talking about the direct market version, not the newsstand, which broke all types of records. This is the second Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man. This is the first cameo appearance of Venom, and this is what happens when books get outpriced or certain versions of books start selling for a lot. People start going for the next best thing. So we saw an incredible record-breaking sale on the newsstand version. We talked about it last week, going for $1,918. So that's caused this regular direct market version and a 9.8 jump up from its previous record of $415 to now $665. So more than $200 increase, $250 increase from the last sale. And actually, not only is it the poor man's version of the newsstand, it's also the poor man's version of ASM 300, a huge monster book that has also been breaking all types of records.
Considering that this book was going on average at 9.8 for $324 over the past 12 months, that is a multiple of times 6 for the newsstand. It makes this direct market price pretty palatable to understand.
Yeah, man, that's why you got to be subscribed to this channel so you can be in the know, because knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
Ooh, with that said, at number 8, we got G.I. Joe, issue number 1. This book is notoriously difficult to get in high grade. They were read to death, huge fandom, and it was a thicker book. This book is a huge key for 80s comic fans as well as action figure toy fans.
Yeah, man, 80s books are so hot right now, especially these first appearance books from cartoons that we grew up with. We're talking about books like Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and G.I. Joe is no exception.
This is the first appearance of a slew of characters: Cobra Commander, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Hawk, Rock and Roll, General Flag, the list goes on. And at 9.8, we saw this really hitting its all-time record at just around $950. This week, we saw a new record broken at $1,000. Comic Fam, those numbers are rivaling Transformers number 1, traditionally a much more expensive book in that grade. And that's not the only records being broken. We saw records for 9.4s go for $200 and a 7.5 hit $99. Raw sales for high-grade copies are hitting $177, and you can thank John Cena for that. We know that the director for the Snake Eyes movie is already chosen. We saw rumors for the last couple weeks that John Cena may be attached to a G.I. Joe movie. And then John Cena took to his Instagram to post a G.I. Joe group shot with the focal point on a character named Duke. And that coupled with more rumors that Tom Holland may be part of this production. That's right, 2 different superheroes in the superhero movie universe coming together in this beloved franchise is pushing this book to new grounds.
Yeah, and because of that Tom Holland rumor, the first appearance of Duke, G.I. Joe 22, is selling for $20. Now, we're going to jump into number 7 on the list, and I wanted to mention this book when I mentioned TMNT, Transformers, G.I. Joe, but it's just not there yet. Talking about Albedo 2, the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. This character always had the potential to be in the same playing field as these classic 80s cartoons, and they might just get the chance with what's going on with the character.
Gem, do you think that we're currently in maybe a new phase of collecting in 2020? Because we're talking about G.I. Joe, TMNT, Usagi Yojimbo. Like, these are all franchises, granted, low census count, collectible, and respected runs, but it's like part of this 25, 30-year cycle of nostalgia. Maybe there's new collectors getting involved.
Yeah, man, I tell you, us 80s babies, early 90s babies, we're adults now, man. We have adult money, and we're going to spend it on those nostalgic things that make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Plus, like you said, there's a very low print run in this book, so collectors and smart investors are going to jump into it because they know they're going to get a good return on their investment.
That's right. There's only 10 9.8 copies of this very book on the census. To put in perspective, there are 28 9.8s of TMNT. And we also know that although there is a Netflix show slated for release in the future, that it's about a future descendant of Usagi Yojimbo. A narrative that has nothing to do with the comics. I can't imagine collectors buying this book thinking that that show is going to cause more spikes to happen, but I could be wrong.
Whoa. Don't start busting their bubbles here, Tom. It's loosely based on Usagi Yojimbo. That's close enough. Let's see what the market has been doing. And you got to keep in mind, this book doesn't come up for sale too often. So what we found is 2 sales that happened this week. We have a CGC 9.2 copy that sold for $8,000, which is up from its previous record of $7,395. Then we saw a raw copy sell for an unheard of $7,565. That thing had to be clean.
And let's not forget about that one-of-a-kind CGC 9.8 signed and sketched by the creator Stan Sakai that sold for $28,000. At the list, at number 6, we have the king of Copper Age books, TMNT issue number 1. And it's on this list for very interesting reasons.
Yeah, we mentioned TMNT number 1, talking about these 80s, 90s cartoons, the nostalgia bug that seems to have collectors biting. And also, this book has been on the list a few times in the last weeks by selling for some crazy numbers. We're also hearing a lot of word on the street stuff happening too.
Let's remind the community about some crazy records that happened last week that members are still buzzing about. 9.4s had an all-time record just a couple weeks ago before some sales happened at an all-time high of $17,250. Then we saw 2 private transactions hit the market last week, one for $31,000 and another for $32,500. This is unprecedented. Gem, is there some type of movie happening? I know Last Ronin is coming, but that doesn't warrant these types of prices, does it?
I'm not sure what is causing collectors to gravitate toward this book. No news that I'm aware of. I mean, yeah, the Last Ronin book is hot. The comic book series by IDW is a great series to get into, but I don't really know what's causing it, man. I can't call it.
Well, something that the Hot List article on Key Collector Comics that we sourced this information from said is something that I kind of disagree with, but I can imagine happening. It says here that they wouldn't be surprised if a 6-figure sale would hit for a 9.8 when it comes to market. And this got me thinking about prior 9.8s that sold last year. Do you remember, Gem? There was a $90,000 sale for a 9.8 in August.
Yeah, I remember vividly, and a couple of collectors that I know personally were trying to off their TMNT number 1s at that time as well. And yeah, people scoffed at it, and kind of rightfully so, right? Because the next few issues, or the next few 9.8 copies, sold for much less.
That's right. back when this dropped in August, I remember even the Guru and other dealers that I'm friends with that just poo-pooed this sale. They thought it was ridiculously high. And it was seemingly proven correct when in November, another 9.8 hit the market and sold for $53,000, near $40,000 less. And you think, was that a fluke? Maybe there was just not the right buyers ready to throw down that kind of money. But then in December, we ended the year with a $50,000 sale. So considering 9.4 is hitting $33,000 near there, I could imagine a 9.8 reaching near six figures. But whether it's warranted, I'm not sure. And I'm not also spending $100,000 on a comic. I don't know about you, Gem. So it's kind of hard to picture that transaction happening.
No, I got bills.
I do too. Comic fam, what do you think in the comment section below about these TMMNT numbers? This right here fuels me to think that there is this type of cycle that we're in and that maybe there are new buyers now emerging in 2020 joining this community.
Yeah, I was talking with you about this before the show, man. Are these new buyers that are buying these keys for the first time? 5 years ago, all of these books on this list were much more affordable, and I can't bring myself to buy the books in today's market, but that's just me. But I am happy to see that number 5 on the list is a blue chip Marvel key, a book that you should be investing in right now, which is X-Men 1. We know this book has always had a lot of room to grow, and especially with them coming over to the MCU, no trailers have been released yet, really no casting, just some kind of Shia LaBeouf rumors. It has a lot of room to grow. And we have seen a couple of record-breaking sales. Last week, we saw a 6.0 hit a $2,000 increase, selling at $15,600. This week, a lower-grade copy, a 4.0, sold for $10,100, which is up from its previous high of $7,395. We even saw a 0.5 copy hit $2,750, which is up from its previous record of $2,300. X-Men number 1 is on the rise. Giant-sized X-Men, Incredible Hulk 181. These big mutant books are moving.
And I want to remind everybody that X-Men 1 did not make this list for upwards of a quarter. And the week that it does is the week that we start to see the other lower grade copies start to spike, just proving its position on this hot list.
Yeah, I kept on saying, like, how is X-Men 1 not on this list? You have Giant Size Moving, Hulk 181, and I think collectors realize we're spending thousands and tens of thousands on these second-tier mutant books. We got to start going for the X-Men 1, so people are starting to pull the trigger and buy in on these keys. Speaking of MCU-related keys, the next on the list, we have Avengers 8 coming in at number 4, first appearance of Kang the Conqueror.
I love seeing this book on this list, man, because this is really the only villain that has had credible rumors break the mainstream. However, it's technically not confirmed, is it not?
Kind of.
Well, kind of is all the community needs, and it's showing by the numbers.
We saw a 7.0 sell for $1,250, which is a huge jump from its 2019 average of just $700. We even saw a 3.0 sell for an all-time high at $380, in addition to the huge volume of sales that have been happening for this book.
Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country being tied to this villain in the MCU has clearly had its effect on the price of this comic book. But this past week, we have rumors furthering this spec saying that he has signed not just an appearance to be had in Ant-Man 3, but a multi-picture deal. We may be seeing a lot of Kang. And if that's the case, we're going to see even more movement to this Silver Age book.
All right, now number 3 on the list is Hero Trade number 1. We've talked about a lot of tried and true books, but here we got a modern book on the list.
That's right. Number 3 on the list, we have Hero Trade number 1, possibly the independent comic book of the year. We've been following Hero Trade number 1 very closely because there is clearly an aspect of FOMO taking place, but there's also an eagerness to invest in a publishing company that's likely going to be on the rise in 2021, and people want to get their hands on a copy of a book that is starting this giant business. Right now, we're seeing average sales for this book, remind you, 3 weeks ago hitting $300, now performing at a rate of $750 on average for a raw copy. We actually saw our first graded 9.8 sell this week, 3 of them going for an incredible $1,500 a piece. There was even a CBCS graded 9.9 copy that sold in 20 minutes, a buy it now for $1,200. I have since seen that particular book go for sale for above $6,000 now. The buyer's hoping to get it. I'm not sure if it's going to reach those types of numbers, but clearly the community has a good feeling about Bad Idea, the way that they marketed this book and what they did for local comic shops across the country.
Yeah, we know there are only 250 copies made of this book, and until we see another indie book do these type of numbers, Hero Trade is going to be on the list. And number 2 on the list, it's funny because we've had John Cena influence 2 books on this list. First with G.I. Joe, and now here with Fightin' 5 issue 40, first appearance of the Peacemaker. John Cena making moves in the comic book market, causing this book to rise in value. We have a CGC 7.5 that sold at $2,184. Then we had an 8.5 close at $2,900. Those numbers are even more impressive when you realize that the previous record for a 7.5 was $450. It just goes to show you how much John Cena and the TV hype has pushed this book.
Are you sure about that?
Considering that there has never been an 8.5 sale until this past week, and that there's only a lonely 21 graded copies on the census, I think that this is more along the lines of people not realizing that this was a comic worth specking on ever. I'll put in perspective, comic fam, the same year that this comic book came out, FF48 hit the stands, and there is 5,500 graded copies on the census currently of that key book. I expect to see the census explode in numbers when collectors send in their copy of Fightin' 540 in mass.
Before we jump into number 1, how many more days do they have to join the mystery mail call?
I appreciate you bringing it up, Gem. ComicTom101.com, or hit the link in the description to support the show, but give us an excuse to send you comics every single month. We got a couple great exclusives going out, and you only got 2 days left. Hit them with number 1 on the list.
Number 1 on the list, I kind of hinted at it earlier. We had ASM 299 here, and now we got the big boy, the ASM 300, that is defying all of reality with record-breaking sales.
Dude, this book was a $3,500 book in 2018, like during the movie.
And even that was high for me.
Yeah, that was high. And then we saw a record breaker last week hitting $4,975, dropping everyone's jaw in the comic book community, making collectors wonder, should I have been buying more Spidey 300s over the past couple years?
The answer is yes. This book just broke another record. I was shocked to see it break the $5,000 mark when we reported on this last week, and now we have a sale at $5,200. This book cannot be stopped.
Yo, and not to mention that this is the trendsetter for the newsstand craze. I'll remind the community, because this is only unique to 9.8 copies of this book, it's seeing a ×2 multiple for that newsstand variant.
We also saw a record breaker with 9.0s. We have a $700 sale, which is up from its previous record of $650. But what's crazy is we have an all-time raw copy high sale that ended at $1,600 on eBay with 62 bids.
Holy smokes, Gem. This is the second week in a row that ASM 300 has rounded out this list, and I gotta know what the community thinks about this. Is it gonna see new heights as we approach the Venom sequel? I'm thinking so. Are we gonna see new records starting to be broken for other Venom keys? 316 had its recent record broken, and I'll encourage the community to go over to Key Collector Comics, use that code TOM101 to unlock a free once-a-week subscription to keep up on all these keys and see where that issue landed.
Yeah, and what do you guys think about ASM 315, right? 316 is the first cover appearance, but you kind of have that little Venom cameo on the cover of 315. Drop a comment down below. You'll be automatically entered into a giveaway where you can win this Comic Tom exclusive variant of Maestro #1. We appreciate you guys watching. As always, geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Comic fam, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And what'd you think about that video? I think it was pretty all right. And you know what? We got 2 other ones here for you to check out.